to the Irish MAGS Show, your weekly Newcastle United podcast, brought to you by the Irish MAGS NUFC supporters group. My name is Paul. I'll be your host for today. Before I introduce you to the guests that are alongside me, and of course our regular co-hosts, you may notice a difference in the audio because we are coming to you live for our first ever live recording from the Bleecker Street Bar in Dublin, and we have people in our midst. Can we just hear a little bit of noise? That is money well spent on those hired actors here in the Bleecker Street Bar in Dublin. And I'm delighted to say I am joined this week by the Chief Community Correspondent of the Irish MAGS, Mr. Alan Williamson. Say hello, Alan.
How's it going, Paul? How's it going, Christian? How's it going, everyone? How are we?
And spoilers from Alan, we are also joined by a returning Crisho from his holidays, and no suntan to be seen.
None whatsoever. I put on a factor 50, and it seems to have worked. Can I see? There's no suntan here whatsoever. But it's lovely to be back with you guys.
He must have had his long sleeve Jeff Hendrick Newcastle jersey on while he was in
you're
Morocco.
not allowed to say it. I'm supposed to say it.
We'll bring up Jeff Hendrick in a while, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So if you are watching on YouTube, you'll observe that we are obviously coming to you live from upstairs in the Bleecker Street Bar, hosted by the ever generous and kind Johnny Leahy. This is what we're probably calling Irish MAGS HQ for the time being. I've made the journey up from Galway this morning.
Takes that long.
I did the classic man coming up from the west of Ireland. Drove into Dublin, got stuck on a Lewis lane in the car, got stuck in a yellow box coming up by the river. So I literally had to tell the Lewis driver to look at the edge of the car to see it was from Galway, because I may have made a balls of it.
He definitely made a balls of it.
He definitely made a balls
for
of it.
one night only. I'll never be allowed back again. So yeah, this is probably what I would call our most unscripted show yet. We're literally recording live before the Crystal Palace game, which we'll be watching from this television up here. We will have the team news in about 7 minutes, hopefully. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that. We do need to check in on Crisho, who's been in Morocco on his holidays, and make sure everything's okay with him. We're going to go through some news segments that have been popping up. And if we're lucky, there may be a few guests joining us from the audience.
They're very shy.
Depending on how many pints they've had. Tev is already dancing and he's halfway through. No, he's finished his first pint. I can see it on the floor here. Right, lads, before we get into all the nitty-gritty, Crisho has been on holidays, and last week it was just myself and Alan, and we had a fucking lovely time without Crisho. But Crisho is back. Crisho, how was your holidays?
It was great. It was kind of upsetting to think that I wasn't going to be on the podcast. It was just going to be two of you, that you might have a guest, maybe Tev would come on. But I watched it from Morocco, and I think you guys did a really good job. You were just missing a bit of Jeff Hendrick's saucisson.
Hold on, sorry. We were missing Jeff Hendrick's saucisson?
Saucisson.
His sausage.
It's a sausage sauce. In French, it's sausage sauce. Jeff Hendrick's saucisson that you were missing. But you guys did a really good job. Morocco was hot, dry, full of argan oil, and a lot of people speaking in Arabic, which I don't speak. I speak many languages, as you all know, but I don't speak Arabic.
Irish and drunk don't count.
But I'm gonna have to learn that as our club gets more Arabic.
We've had Morocco. This is where we get Alan's knowledge out again. He usually wins the quiz every week, except that time that I beat you in the quiz. You remember that?
That's right.
Yeah, brings it up now.
Alan, name me a minimum of one Moroccan player that has played for Newcastle.
Habib Bey.
Habib Bey. Do we have agreement from the audience? Habib Bey. Is he Algerian?
Oh, he's Algerian,
no.
Isn't he? Oh.
Senegal. We're hearing from Dara over in the corner. Ashraf.
Oh wow, Alan is
Dara with the shout from the back.
Failed already.
Ashraf Lazar, Alan.
I don't have my book that I usually have of my
But hang on.
beside me.
Did he actually play for Newcastle? Did he play like 3 games or 4 games? He played a couple of games,
He
did he?
played a couple of games in the championship. He was a Rafa signing. He got a couple of games.
Crisho.
Yeah.
He's probably played more games than Jeff Hendrick. So we're just going to leave that there.
Not hard.
Well, when Tonali gets banned by the FA, who you gonna look for? Like
Not
Ghostbusters,
Hendrick.
who are you going to search for?
Who are you gonna
Jeff
call?
Hendrick's coming in from QPR. You guys can look at me with disdain all you like. That's who's coming in to replace Sandro Tonali.
Did anybody bring anything to throw? tomatoes.
There's a couple of
pint
chairs knocking about
Pint
here.
bottles.
Yeah.
Pint bottles. All right, I promised you I won't mention it again. But if Sandro Tonali gets banned by the FA for another 6 months, which he might, and you can say all you want, he might, Jeff Hendrick is coming back from on loan from QPR to play defensive midfielder for Newcastle.
Absolutely not.
You said Isaac Hayden was coming back from long before Jeff Hendrick was.
Dead right. Cahill has just said that Isaac Hayden is coming back. It's not happening.
So just from the audience there, we have a desperate shout from Cahill that Chris Shaw once said that Isaac Hayden will be coming back. Chris Shaw, it's hard to know what to say, Chris Shaw, but
Both of them are coming back. And we're going to play a
So is Rafa.
3-5-2-1. Hang on.
That's too many players. We're going to play 13 at the back.
That's why I'm not a manager of a football team. Sorry,
Evidently.
Chris Shaw, that's also why you've never won a quiz on the Irish MAGS show, but
because I don't know how many players play on the pitch.
that's for another day. Okay, lads.
Right.
We're 3 minutes out from the team being named for the Crystal Palace game.
Okay.
It's been a while since we've actually had a game. It feels
Yeah.
like it's been weeks. It's been, 10 days?
Yeah.
We're in good form. What are we, 3 out of 4 wins in the
I think
last 4
it's-
games?
In the last 6 games, I think we've got pulled 15 points, is it? Or
Yeah.
something along those lines?
Which, if we all cast our minds to not that long ago, January is a distant memory after that kind of bit of form. And we probably could have had another win apart from that, obviously, the result at Everton.
WWE time.
But if we just do a quick assessment of where we are now, lads, we're currently 6th in the league. We didn't play at the weekend, as most of us know. We're here recording on a Wednesday. But West Ham did not win.
Wow.
We don't even need to talk about Chelsea at this stage. Do they even count as a football team?
No.
It's an embarrassment. But basically, results at the weekend in particular went our way big time
It was arguably the best weekend we could have possibly asked for without playing.
without playing.
It's not going to get better.
Are we not worried about the fact that Crystal Palace scored 5 goals against West Ham?
Okay, look,
And we're playing them tonight?
Mr. Pessimist, I will tell you when we're ready for your pessimism.
Okay, fair enough. There'll be a big red light will come on.
But as it stands, lads, we're in a really good position that I don't think any of us would have expected to be in, 6 weeks, 2 months ago, 3
No,
months ago?
definitely not.
Well, I'll tell you,
Alan.
when I was at that Luton game and it was a 4-4 draw, I turned to the better half and said, I went into this season with very, very high expectations. This game, it's right now, has hit me with a serious dose of reality. I didn't envisage this run coming along where we've pulled so many points out of the bag. Definitely didn't think we were going to let Tottenham come to our backyard and we were going to give them such a hiding as we did. The run of form is immense, I think. It's just been brilliant.
And if we look at the games that are left, so I was listening to a podcast that described tonight's game against Crystal Palace away as potentially our hardest game left in our fixtures for the season. Now that's bearing in mind we do have to go to see Chris Shaw's team, Man Red, in Old Trafford, I believe. But
It is
again,
It's really unfair. I have a picture. I spoke to Paul's dad, and
Wait,
we get on really well. And he sent me a picture on hotmail.com because he's old. Sorry, Paul.
apparently.
And Paul wore a Man United jersey until he was 11.
I would say 8. I would say 8.
Oh,
but,
sorry.
But fair point.
Sorry, we're here live. There we are. So we're
Just
here
got the
live.
card from
He
Darren
wore a
that-
Manchester United jersey until he was 8 years of age.
Now, okay, let's. I didn't expect this. Wow. Okay, he's.
Welcome to the
Chris
capital
Shaw's
city.
fighting back.
Welcome
So,
to the capital city.
I've said this before on the pod. I was raised in a Man Red household. My mother, my father, and my brother all like.
Oh, cry me a river, Paul.
Man United
yeah,
fans.
cry me a river. Yeah.
But as soon as I was old enough to make my own decisions, i.e., wipe my own ass, I realised that I might as well have been wiping my ass with the Man Red kit that they gave me with Andre Kinchalski. I wipe my own ass. yeah. No, we said maybe 8.
It took him till he was 11 to do that. But I'm not taking this Man Red thing, right?
To be fair, look, hold
Honestly,
on.
we were both Man Red fans until we were 10. Alan has always been.
So
a
basically,
Newcastle
what we've gotten from this conversation is I'm the only real Newcastle fan on this podcast.
fan. Oh!
Let's see how it is, lads.
Wow.
Wow.
There's a
Okay.
shocker on the live episode. Wow.
So, lads, we've been recording this podcast for borderline 5 months now. We've done 20 episodes. I was here looking forward to my big day out in Dublin, drove up from Galway to meet Alan and Chris Shaw in person for the
schmuck.
first time. and they've absolutely torn me asunder, and I'm never coming back again.
The plan has
People
worked.
say
The
Irish
plan
people
has
don't
worked.
get on. We all get on.
Okay, so let's park the unintended Man United discussions for now, and look at what is now. We're currently on 7:01, lads. So I have a laptop in front of me, and I can see the team has just been announced.
Brilliant.
Alan hasn't seen it. Krisho hasn't seen it. The lads are all scrambling for the phones. I'm going to tell you right now, we're seeing this for the first time. Dubravka in goals. The second name on the list tells you probably all you need to know. Jacob Murphy looks to be at right back, as it's named on the Sky Sports website. Kraft and Cher in the middle, and Dan Byrne on the left. Then it looks like we have Sean Longstaff, Bruno Guimaraes, and Elliot Anderson in midfield. And what is hopefully going to be the game changer of the night, it is that front three that we all want to see. Anthony Gordon, Alexander Isak, and Harvey Barnes.
Terrifying.
The notorious B.I.G.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Love it. The notorious
That is not
BIG.
mine. That is not mine.
It
That
is
has been
now.
from the
It
It
Daily
is
Mail.
now, Alan. It is now. It is now.
Yeah, that's
terrifying.
That front three is terrifying. And look, we have a lot of talk about Crystal Palace, particularly Eze, Olise.
Yeah.
They're on good form, but what they do have at the moment is a bit of a defensive crisis. We all know about the time that Chris Show told us that Joachim Anderson was guaranteed to join in January. That didn't happen. Another thing that Chris Show got wrong. Surprise, surprise.
Wow.
But he's actually their only kind of fit first choice centre half. Because they have an injury to Mark Gahey, which is good for us.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they line up. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Just quickly on the bench, a bit of good news, lads. Callum Wilson is on the bench for Newcastle.
He's alive.
All
Remember
right.
him? Can we get a bigger round of applause? for
Yeah,
Callum
can we get
Wilson?
a bigger round of applause for Callum Wilson? Jesus.
In all fairness, one of our top scorers. So it's Paul Dummett on the bench with Callum Wilson, Matt Ritchie, Loris Karius, Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento, Joe White, Alex Murphy, shout out for the goal,
The Irishman is on the bench. Happy days.
and Ben Parkinson. Yeah, it's not bad, lads, in fairness. That's a decent team. Obviously, that back four is still a little bit makeshift, Alan.
You're saying back four.
4,
That's-
5, 7.
That's three at the back, 5 in the middle, three at the back,
Is that
4 in the
3-5-2?
middle. It's 3-4-3.
3-4-3.
with wing backs. Murphy and
So Murphy's not playing right back.
yeah,
Murphy. Well, Dan Byrne is currently down there, but you would assume it will shift to a 3,
Yeah,
maybe
3
with
at the
Kraft,
back.
Cher, and Byrne, and then
Dummett. Or not Dummett, Kraft.
so you have Kraft, Cher, and Byrne.
Sorry, yeah.
Kraft, Sharon,
And
Byrne.
we did see Elliot Anderson kind of
Played
drop him back.
yeah.
He played about 4 roles in the last
So you're
game,
saying Jacob Murphy's not playing right back? He's playing like right wing back.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
right
he's going to be a
wing
wing
back.
back.
It looks in terms of starting lineup, it looks similar to what we had in the last game. Now, I can tell you there's a bit of news on the Crystal Palace lineups, lads, which is that Michael Olise, who's probably been one of their informed players all season when he's been fit, a lot of teams after him, starts on the bench, which is good for us.
That's good. That's very good
Yeah.
news. That's very
So the
good
Palace
news.
team in front of me is Krisho's ex-Man United goalkeeper, Dean Henderson in goals, Klein, Anderson, Chris Richards, Munoz, Adam Wharton is back in the squad, Will Hughes, Tyreek Mitchell, Jordan Ayew, Eze, and Mateta up front.
Jordan Ayew has won the most amount of fouls in the last 4 years of the Premier League history. Now tonight, if he falls over, he'll either get a free kick. I've got to worry that I'm going to call it tonight. Actually, do you know what? Live here on the podcast.
Here we
I'm going to call it here live. Right, before the end of halftime, we're going to have somebody sent off.
Bruno G to be sent off after going 10 games, 11 games without getting a yellow card. He's getting done for GBH tonight.
I mean, to be fair, if there was a bet to be made, it's probably Bruno getting a yellow card because he must be dying to get one. Like,
But he's okay now, right?
Gone
He's okay
since,
now.
is
Yeah,
it
he's
January,
grand.
lads? I'm going to look at the crowd. Is it January since the last time he got a yellow card?
It's
February?
11 games, I think.
It's the equivalent of me not having a pint since January. Imagine what happens when I get near that first pint. That's I'm going
He's
for.
done it tonight. He's done it tonight.
Seen it. And you're going to see it today indeed. So lads, really quickly, just on the Palace game, obviously it's going to be coming on the screen very shortly in 54 minutes. We're going to go around the house. We're going to check with ourselves first here at the table, and then we might shout out to the crowd what we think is the score going to be. And Alan, no pressure. This is a tough one, but score prediction.
We are going to win 2-1.
Alan is saying 2-1 in London. Chris Shaw, who, by the way, just told us that Newcastle are getting a player sent off in the first half.
A player's going to be sent off before halftime. It's going to be 1-1 at that time, and it's either going to be 4-1 to Crystal Palace or 4-1 to Newcastle. In the second, it's the second half is either going to be Newcastle's or Crystal Palace's.
Oh, one of the two teams are going to win. That's a great analysis of the match.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the whole idea of the game, right? But no, honestly, right?
The Michael Owen of the Irish Mags podcast.
The Michael Owen. Oh no,
Chris
I can't
Shaw.
believe you said that.
Goals change games.
No,
isn't it?
look at right. Honestly, Newcastle are going to win 3-1.
3-1 indeed.
I was only joking about the whole sending off thing. We're going to win 3-1. It'll be
Okay.
3-0 by half time. Crystal Palace are going to get a goal back. It's going to be a bit tense second half. That's Jeff Hendrick.
Is that Jeff Hendrick? He must be outside.
Is that Jeff Hendrick?
Yeah.
He's not on loan to QPR. He's at Sheffield Wednesday.
Nobody knows where he's on loan.
But 3-1 to Newcastle.
Okay, Chris, you're shouting
Yeah.
3-1. I'm going to have to go for... I might... do you know, I feel like saying something silly.
Do it.
I feel like saying 4-1. Why do I say that's something silly?
To Newcastle.
4-1
I
to
hope.
who?
To
Yeah.
Newcastle, sorry.
Yeah.
Because as I look at the team here in front of me, the Palace team, Palace have been in good form. The new manager is doing good things. But I look at that defence and I look at the form of our front three, and
Yeah.
I think we might...
They're
I think we might tear
terrifying.
them apart.
Why is Elise on the bench, though? Think about it. Why would he be on
Don't
the bench?
ask. Don't ask.
Well, he's only
We
coming back
don't
from an
care.
injury, so like he will be eased back in. So I'd imagine it's something to do with that. But that bad news for Palace is great news for Newcastle. So it's the
Yeah,
best way to
okay.
look at it.
And as I said, we really don't care why he's on the bench as
Exactly.
long as he stays there. Right. I think it's time we get our first guest on.
I think so.
And I thought I saw a man walk up the stairs just now.
And answer his phone.
A man who has frequented this parish before in the Irish Mags show. And it is, of course, Mr. Tevin Furry. Can we get a big...
Hey,
Bleecker Street.
the president
Round of applause
of
for
Newcastle,
Tev.
Ireland.
The king of the Irish Mags has
Get in there.
returned.
Tiff.
Are you getting on, lads? How are you?
Welcome back to the Irish
Welcome
Mags
back,
podcast.
Tev. Welcome back, Tev.
How you
Welcome
getting
back.
on?
Tev, great to have you here.
Yeah.
Now,
You just gave me
Tev,
that sign to just.
I was just telling you, speak the more you speak clearly into the mic, the less editing I have to do, and I don't want to
Okay.
do any editing.
That's my voice.
Tev, it's great to have you here. Obviously, it's great to be recording our first live show.
Yeah.
If you bring your memory back to the opening game of the season, the first time I met you, bad day, lads, bad day, in the Shark,
In the Shark Bar.
across from St James's Park, the opening game of the season, we played Aston Villa, beat them 5-1, and you and me started having a quick chat about a podcast. And me being from Galway and having about 4 or 5 pints in me went, no bother, we'll do that. That sounds easy for us to do.
Yeah.
We're now on episode 21
Yeah.
of the Irish Mags show, and we're recording our first ever live in-person podcast. Tell us how much you love the Irish Mags show.
No, I love it. You know, it's all about community. You can see even the lads kind of here today. You can't see them because the camera's pointing at us. But it's creating
They're
a community of kind of people coming down, and it's not just Dublin. We're associated
As the
with
flags
four-
fall off the wall.
all across Ireland. So when we're travelling to games or we're watching games here, we're always together, and that's the main thing about it. So a little idea like that in terms of podcast, you can see it turns into reality. But it's not just myself, Jamie. Like, it's everybody involved in it. You know, it's about everybody. So you can see how good it is. You know, see how good it is when you're working. You're going, oh look, I could go to Bleecker Street Bar with a load of Newcastle fans. But then same again on Saturday, we're going down to Cork. There's lads kind of going staying in Dublin. There's lads going to Newcastle. We have different groups going to kind of different kind of places, and it's fantastic from a community point of view, because at the end of the day, what was there kind of before this, obviously there was a load of Newcastle fans, Irish Newcastle fans, but nobody chat to each other. And here, obviously in Ireland, we have a lot of Manure fans, a lot of Liverpool fans, and you're forced to watch games with kind of them or with family that don't like to watch football. So at least then you can kind of break away and kind of say, look, I'm going to watch the game with the lads and lasses, and then just have a bit of crack, you know. So it's all about community, but it's fantastic. Even here now, it's fantastic, you know.
Yeah, and it's great. Like we pretend like we know exactly what's going on when it comes to Newcastle and obviously podcasting, but like we've never done this before, lads. Surprise.
Blind leading the blind springs the blind.
I've done it for many years.
Yeah, clearly for sure. Yeah.
I have.
But at the same time, like, it is, like I literally walked in here. I was the first one in here today. Surprise, surprise, lads.
After lunch.
Yeah, and I bumped into a guy who's from Galway, who just happened to be in here with another group. Had no idea there was an Irish MAGS community. Had no idea there was a podcast. Just happened to be in with this group, and it was like that shouldn't happen. Yeah. And I guess like there's a reason why that exists. As you said, Liverpool, Man Red, Arsenal. That's historically how football has been, especially in Ireland. The guard is changing, lads, especially from a Newcastle perspective. And you're going to see a lot more Newcastle kits. You know, kids are going to want to buy them, obviously, when the club doing well. But the players we have, which probably bring us on to our next discussion. We're going to have another guest joining us very shortly. But one thing I wanted to ask you, Tev, is because I told you today is the first day I met Krisho. And I'm going to give you a spoiler here to speed up time. But Krisho told me what his bad take of the week is, lads. Right? It's not Krisho's, well, I mean, he's got a lot of wild ideas. But the take that he's picked up on this week is that it is a certainty that we will be selling Bruno Guimaraes and Alexander Isak this summer. Right?
Yeah.
And you know, if I was a young football fan at the age of 7 or 8 now, especially like in the last few weeks, obviously, but if you're looking for a team, or if you're looking at who's playing well, somebody like Alexander Isak, if he can keep that form going, would inspire you to follow Newcastle. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the question that Krisho posed to us before we hit record was, if you got 140 million for Isak or 120 million for Bruno, would you sell them on? Tell us.
You have to think about it. It's a vision. It's a project. So all these players that were signed they weren't sold a season. They were sold a vision. So it's a 5-year plan. It's a 10-year plan, etc. So the right players have joined the club. So if we don't make Champions League and they were sold a vision, why would they go? Because it's the vision. It's a long-term project. Yeah. So Eddie and Dan Ashworth, etc., have signed the right players. So we should have trust in them that knowing they don't. Maybe their agent's a bit different because obviously it's about the money, etc. But in terms of the players, I think they will stay. It's one season, and with the likes of Tonali coming back, the likes of players coming in, players coming back from injury, we should feel confident that we can kind of have a full run kind of next season. So will one go? Could, maybe. But if they're bought into the vision, I honestly think they'll take one season to kind of get back into
If there was one to go, Tiff,
yeah,
who would it be? Bruno or Isak?
Paul Dummett.
Sorry,
Bruno
Paul.
or Isak.
I mean, I know it's very difficult to say that.
It's tough for me. I think our sellable asset in terms of somebody, and especially in terms of like looking at kind of age and stuff like that, I'd probably say Bruno. Because I can see Isak, I can see him going to the moon. You know, Bruno is going to go high as well.
Right.
But I do think we can replace Bruno with many players around.
I said something earlier.
Yeah.
I said Bruno Guimaraes is a 1 in a million player. Alexander Isak is a unicorn. He is a once in a lifetime individual. He is Thierry Henry reincarnate.
Yeah.
He is going to be terrifying for the next 10 years.
And lads, we've seen what happens when Isak stays fit. We know fitness is an issue. We just celebrated Callum Wilson coming back. Not scoring, not doing anything else, just being available on the bench. But you can see the difference when you get Isak. Like, I would still argue he's still not 100% fit.
No.
Therefore, he still doesn't have like momentum, confidence, player, all that. But we've seen what he can do. And yeah, it's hard not to agree with it. When you see what he's able to do, there's not many strikers out there like it.
Well, guys, can you see a big clear out this summer? Like Callum Wilson, Miggy, Paul Dummett, so on. Can you see a big clear out?
I can see 7 to 8 players leaving this summer.
Yeah?
Yeah. Easy.
When you say clear, like what quality?
Yeah,
Well,
we're not talking nobody in the starting 11. Maybe barring Trippier. If a bid came in for Trippier, I could see him going because he's not going to be first choice every single week next year. Livramento is going to be. Lewis Hall has proved himself at left back now.
So he's staying. We're signing him.
Well, that's done and dusted. That we can't finish any lower than 15, so we have signed Lewis Hall now. So that's done. I think if a bid came in for Trippier, the club would look at it very hard and go, listen, you came in, we asked you to do a job, you have done a massive job for us, thank you very much, but unfortunately you are now not surplus to requirements, because that's not the right way to look at it. You are now a saleable asset that we can see. If we move you on, it'd be the right time for it to happen.
Right, okay, yeah.
I'd say like going back to kind of Eddie Howe and his philosophy, you can see he's big on leadership. So there's a few lads there that don't play that are in this kind of leadership cohort. So the likes of Trippier, the likes of Byrne, the likes of Richie, etc. Now, I do think some of them might get coaching roles, You know, so while they're not playing, they could get the Scott Carson role basically, where they're actually coaching, but they're not playing. You know, but you can see in terms of a season when a load of players are getting injured, we actually need to use everyone in the squad. Where the fault in terms of Eddie Howe this season, he doesn't trust everybody to play. If you get what I mean, maybe 5 or 10 minutes there, but in terms of Dortmund away, in terms of Dean's game, he's not trusting Richie to start.
Well, let's be honest. Like Dummett came on for 6 minutes against Everton, gave away a penalty. So the proof is in the pudding, if you know what I mean. Like he has proved that. Listen, I didn't want to trust these lads. I trusted these lads, and this idiot gave away a penalty.
At the same time, he did start him. He didn't start him. He brought him on the following week. I think it was. So, I think Eddie. I think there is a master plan no matter what way you look at it. I think clear out is a strong word. If I think about if I think about a clear out, it's what I would do if I was in charge of Manchester United, because there's a lot of bad eggs in there. I don't think we have bad eggs at all. We have players where it's clear that their long-term future isn't there. I think some of those players potentially, Wilson, Almiron, there's going to be question marks there.
Yeah.
I still don't think that. I suppose they call it the big three: Botman, Bruno, Isak. I still think they'll all be playing for Newcastle next season.
100%.
Because I think I said it to you downstairs, particularly Isak. I think there's like not unfinished business, but he still hasn't given. We haven't gotten 100%.
We haven't had a full season.
And I would say he knows that.
We haven't had a full season.
This thing about Bruno buying a £4 million house a couple of weeks ago or something like that, and that's like an indication that he's staying at Newcastle. But I don't know. One of our guests that'll come up soon will explain that it was for his dad. It wasn't Bruno's house. He bought it for his family.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Bruno's dad is probably like one of the most famous people in Newcastle at the moment.
He doesn't play in the midfield.
Doesn't matter. That man can't go anywhere. Okay.
Right.
It's good to talk about it, but it's also kind of scary at the same time. But I think the main focus for us is the next 6 games. So Tev, before we let you go, from the horse's mouth, where are Newcastle United finishing this season?
6th.
He's gone for 6.
And we beat Manchester United on the 15th.
Let's put it to the crowd. Are we finishing 6th in the league this season, audience? We've got a 5th. We've got 2 5ths.
That's a lot of 5ths there.
Wow, okay.
I honestly, I'd love us to finish 5th. I just think we're a little bit too far away. I do think Spurs will win 2 games between now and the end of the season. Right? Yeah, so there's 6 games left. They win 2 games, they will, let's be honest. They might not be in great form. They will win 2 games.
Yeah, they will. They definitely will,
6th is our best bet.
Only time will tell, but 6 wouldn't be a bad shout. No. Tev, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
you.
Round of applause.
Tev, everybody.
Now, lads, we have another very, very special guest about to join us, and a somewhat unexpected guest, as in we did not plan this, and we're not paying him. Well, I don't know if we've told him.
Where are we at? Maybe Johnny's paying him.
He doesn't know that yet.
Maybe
Don't be
Johnny's
saying that live on the pod.
3 points or something. He didn't pay for that.
We have a very special guest joining us, making his Irish MAGS debut. We did not even know he was going to be in the Bleaker tonight until Johnny told us.
Right.
But we have Mr. Graham Danby joining us. And Graham, I don't know if I'll do it justice. I'd love for you to tell us. You do have a nickname, I believe.
I'm the Geordie Top Chanter.
He's the Geordie Chanter. Big shout out for the
Geordie
Chanter.
Do you know me?
You know me.
So Graham, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
And we won't delay it from your pint, but you can drink it while you're here with us.
Thank you
because
very much.
we're recording in a pub, lads. It's great.
But you can drink pints for free.
Yes. They're free? Wait, what?
Oh, sorry. Are they?
But Graham, for anyone who doesn't know what the Geordie Chanter means or what it is, and we will have Irish Mags who haven't actually made it to St James's Park.
Right.
Not to say there are any less fans than the rest of us, except Chris Show. But tell us what the Geordie Chanter does.
Well, I sang Bleeding Races live on the pitch before Newcastle Sunderland several times, Newcastle Chelsea, Man City, all of that. Just me, Mike, and 53,000 guys.
Wow.
That was it.
Only 53,000.
Just 53.
Unbelievable.
A few million on the telly, but I don't worry about that kind of thing. So
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah.
So that, and just again, so everybody's very clear. This isn't you're in the crowd singing with everyone else.
No.
You're the guy
Yeah.
in the middle of it all.
I'm kind of live. I'm in the firing line.
Right.
Yeah.
This would suggest that you're a very good singer, first of all.
I'm decent, yeah.
Now, we are in a pub. We have a load of microphones in front of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we ask him? Would he give us a verse?
That's it there.
Okay.
Oh, that
I'll do
picture
it, I'll
is
do it.
He's holding up
amazing.
a picture of himself. You'll see it on the camera over
See
here.
it on the camera there. That's me live on the pitch.
Would you give us a 10-second?
Oh, me lads, you should have seen us coming, passing the folks along the road just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces, gathering along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races.
Round of applause.
Do you know me?
Absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Fantastic.
I'm sorry now.
Yeah, that is
It says a lot about me,
amazing.
but I have literal chills here in the arms, lads.
Unreal.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Graham, how did this start? Okay, so you're from Newcastle, right? You're a local boy.
I'm from Newcastle. I went to my first match when I was 6 months old. My dad took me. I've been I bleed black and white. I was approached by Newcastle United to. Things were just, the atmosphere was a little bit low at the ground and stuff, and then I was approached by them to sing before the Sunderland match, a Category C match. I'm not the ideal person to have on the pitch because I know exactly where the great unwashed are up in the corner, and the first time I did it was fine. The second time I did it, I marched right up to them and I'd written a few choice words in the Bladen races,
Yeah.
And one of the police chief in Northumberland said I incited violence between Newcastle and Sunderland. But anyway, these things happen,
Yes.
and I just give it large because I'm like all of you here. I bleed black and white. It is my life.
Amazing.
And
You know,
and you
fantastic.
am I right to say you sing for a living? That's also
I'm an
one of the reasons you're
international
here.
opera singer.
Yeah.
I've sung at the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, La Scala in Milan. I'm here, fortunately. I spent quite a bit of my life in Dublin. I'll be on at the Gaiety Theatre and down in Wexford at the National Opera place down in Wexford, and then unfortunately I go down to Cork, but everybody has a cross, so that'll be fine.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Paul
that's
Slaughter. I'm
Sorry, with Cork.
But it's that's my job. So
It must
I'm
be
lucky.
a dream to blend, so obviously singing is probably not only a job but a passion.
It is
To
I'm
blend that
lucky.
with, you've said it probably 3 times that you bleed black and white. That must feel
Yeah.
good. So Alan here on my left is a fire
Hi, Alan.
safety officer. Shake hands there,
Top
lads.
lad.
Hello.
How's
Nice
well?
to meet you.
Alan here is a fire safety officer. So, the equivalent I can think of is if Alan was asked to go and do the fire safety in St James's Park. Now, I hope no one ever asks
Yeah.
Definitely don't ask me to do that.
but to blend your passion and your job with bleeding Newcastle, that must be the dream.
The first time versus Sunderland, and the guy from Sky came up and said, right, okay, what backing track are you using and everything like that. I said, just give me a mic, and these are my people who were surrounding it.
That's
This is, they know me as a singer, they know I stand with them all on the terraces, away games, everything like that. And I said, just give me a mic. You've got to watch it at St James's Park because of the way that the ground is, with the east stand being lower.
Yes.
The sound bounces everywhere. So, normally I went to Bladen races. 'Twas on the 9th of June, 1862, and summer's afternoon. But in that kind of cauldron, it's got to be ever so slightly slower.
Okay.
So I've got a feed in my ear from Sky, and then I've got 53,000 people all going at different speeds.
Wow.
Madness. It is absolutely mad. The only thing to kind of compare it with is I did a live concert with Alexandra Burke, and we did it live at South Shields, overlooking the singing onto the Tyne and everything. And my live feed copped out 8 seconds before live on BBC.
Naturally.
Naturally,
Naturally, yeah.
And that's all I can kind of compare it to. But for me, coming off the pitch after singing that, I was allowed 1 minute and 31 seconds, 3 verses of the Bladen races, 3 choruses, and 4 tune black and white armies.
Whoa.
That's what I was allowed.
Down
So
to the millisecond.
minute and 31 seconds. That's
Excellent.
What I was before the Ford, the thing would come up before
Yeah.
the match came on.
Yes.
So it's all absolutely timed down to the last second. Had to be at that speed, had to be in that key, everything really precise.
military
I mean,
precision.
Wow.
Like, you talk about artists. You mentioned Alexander Burke, but like artists, we had Sam Fender playing St James's Park. Many artists have played in St James's Park.
Of course.
Not many artists have had 53,000 hanging on to your every word and
Loving it.
singing every word along with
Giving
you.
it large.
That's pretty amazing.
Do you know, it's I have sung in the best places all over the world, but just let me rock up there anytime.
Can't be beaten.
and just do it. And when Gary they did the tribute to Gary Speed,
Yes.
they asked me to sing, but of course Gary was Welsh. He was, I knew Gary. I've got signed footballs from him, signed shirts from him, from his Bolton days and all of that, and his stuff at Newcastle. But I got a mate of mine, Gwyn Hughes Jones, who was Welsh, who knew Gary as well as part of the Welsh setup there, and got him to sing "Land of My Fathers." And he said, "I could not believe the noise."
Wow.
From 53,000 people. And that's coming from somebody, Welsh, and they don't give out compliments to the English very often.
No, never.
Let's be honest,
Either do we, but
That's for another pod. That's for another pod.
Yeah, bring it on.
that's a great story. And I suppose I want to mention one thing to you in a minute, but before I do that, while it's on my head, I would love to hear, like you've talked about the Sunderland game, but I'd love to hear what, like, your highlight, and maybe there's your highlight in terms of the job, but highlight as a Newcastle fan, because we all know in the room here, a Newcastle fan is a life of a roller coaster. But what's your highlight as a fan, and does that tie into obviously
My
the
highlight
job?
as a fan, oh God, that's really tough. I loved going to football with my dad. I can still remember the 1974 Cup final when we lost 3-0 to Liverpool.
Naturally.
Going down there as a 12-year-old lad with my dad. I sang with Pavarotti. Pavarotti was a big Inter Milan fan.
Wow.
And when we were doing Tosca at the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, and I had 10 minutes with probably the best singer that the world has ever seen. You know?
Yeah.
And for 9.5 minutes, we talked about Inter Milan versus Newcastle when we do 2-2.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
And for 30 seconds, we talked about the production where people had paid 3,000 quid to go and see it.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So highlights, anytime beating Sunderland.
Yes.
But I'm not that kind of person that wants Sunderland in the Northern League. I want us.
Would you prefer them in the Premier League? Would you want
yes,
it there?
100%, yes.
I'll tell you why. The Northeast is a thriving industry place, and if we've got the Smoggies and the Sad Mac and Bastards in the same league as us, then the Northeast benefits.
Yeah, it's prospering.
It does because the kids come to university, all of that kind of stuff, and I think it's really important that we look at it. Obviously, we want to be at the top. Obviously,
We just want Sunderland to be 17th every year.
yeah.
Consecutively.
And that
That's
would be
all
brilliant,
we
yeah.
ask for.
Yeah.
That's
But,
all we ask
hey,
for.
we'll all be long dead by the time that happens. Yeah.
They're going
Absolutely.
down.
Unbelievable. And just, I suppose, really quickly, so you're in Ireland for...
I'm in Ireland for La Traviata, which is on at the Gaiety, as I say, down in Wexford. Loving my time here. Johnny does a great job here. Love it, absolutely love it. I'm pissed off he's got rid of Peroni, but the Madri will do.
The Madrid will do.
Yeah.
I mean, there is this little known beverage called Guinness that
Yeah.
maybe...
Yeah.
Do you not like it? Do you not
I
like
hear
it?
it's
Do you not
very-
like it?
I
It's
hear
rotten.
very-
It
very
is rotten.
You've tried it though, right?
Oh yeah, I've tried it
You don't like it?
several times.
Several times, yeah.
It's just, Madri, a good dozen, and I'm happy,
That can be arranged. Can we get a huge shout out for Graham for joining us?
Fantastic.
on the Irish Night Show, lads. Unbelievable.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much.
Really, thank you.
Thank
My
you.
absolute pleasure.
Nice
Great to
meet
have you here.
Boys.
Now, I hate to break it to Graham, but that is not the last time he's going to be giving us a rendition of the Bladen Races.
It's absolutely not.
Especially if we win. Like, you're a podcaster's dream because you've got a lovely booming voice. It also reminds me of that episode of Father Ted. Remember where they're lost in the lingerie section? And he goes, "Who's got the most boring voice?"
I've
and then
got
this
the
priest
most
pops up,
boring voice.
You ask for a nice booming voice. That's what you have, and it's a podcaster's dream. Because I was giving Tev the eyes to lean in, because Tev's a very quiet man, as everyone knows. But thanks again, Graham. Great to hear some of your stories. And lads, next time you're in St James's Park, you'll be looking down, going, "I know that guy, the guy that's singing," and you'll be singing with him.
Krisho, what we've got here, right? I think personally, right, and I'm just going to go way out on a limb here, right? I think next, and Paul, I'm not trying to take over your hosting, but I think we should have Alan's family member on the podcast because we've mentioned him 12 times in 21 episodes, and he's here live.
You're obviously not talking about Alan's fiance who washes all the flags after they work.
No, that's the boss.
No,
That's the boss.
I think everybody on this podcast wants to see.
Do you know what? Let's check. Do you want to hear Sean Bowes on the Irish MAGS show?
Go on, Sean Bowes. Go on, Sean Bowes. Goddamn, Shawnee. It's Coventry fan.
Coventry fan.
It's a half and half.
Sean, can you tell us about the first time that you and I met, which I think was over in Newcastle? Or the last time, maybe?
So the first time me and Paul met, for people that don't know, we were over at the AC Milan game in the Champions League for the result. Unfortunately, it was a bad result in terms of the football, but a good night overall. Unfortunately, that night we were knocked out of the Champions League, unfortunately, but it was a great night in terms of what younger supporters of Newcastle United will remember, because as one of the younger supporters in the group, I suppose, I never experienced stuff like that, like the rest of the lads have. They've experienced Champions League nights.
If he mentions Steve Bruce, I'm going to jump across this table.
Wait,
my favourite manager of all
everybody.
time.
Wait, everybody,
I
just so
will be
everyone's
done
clear
for
here.
murder.
If he mentions Steve Bruce, he will kill him.
Okay,
Alan will
fair.
kill him.
Okay.
There'll
be
Steve
no murder.
Steve Bruce is the best
There'll be
Newcastle
no
manager
murder
of all
on my
time, of
watch
course.
tonight.
No, but it was fantastic. The place in the Strawberry Corner, the luckiest person in the stadium. Probably the atmosphere was insane. My voice was gone by the end of the night. But yeah, it was a fantastic memory in terms of supporting Newcastle throughout my life.
Now, Sean, so I had met you once here before in the Bleaker.
That's true.
But we didn't even talk that much.
No.
He
Lucky
heard
man.
the
False
accent.
identity.
Lucky man.
he heard the accent. He wouldn't even talk to me. And then obviously we went to Newcastle, and it was yourself, myself, and a man by the name of Dino, who's very famous around this parish.
Couldn't join us tonight, unfortunately.
And we were staying in the same
Bed.
hotel. Is a strong hotel is a strong word, but a location in Newcastle. But
Faulty Towers in Newcastle.
lads, we must have been 4 or 5 hours drinking, and then I realised
That was before the game.
Sean literally said this to me outside, that he's only 18 years old. I mean, the way he spoke about Newcastle, obviously having supported them as long as you have, and it must be something about your godfather, but we won't even give him credit for that. I couldn't believe you were only 18. Lads, Lewis Miley is 17. He's playing for Newcastle, and our own Lewis Miley here, Sean Bowes, only 18. But to hear the passion about Newcastle, and to see an 18-year-old be able to drink far more pints than I was able to drink when I was
The
18.
man with hollow legs.
He'd drink it off a sore knee.
He would indeed. But like, I suppose when I look around the room, there's a few lads in here that probably are a little bit older than 18, no more than myself. just a little bit.
Just a bit,
Smidgen.
just a bit.
So Sean, like, what? I don't know where. Like, what's your highlight as an 18-year-old Newcastle? Are you maybe you're 19 now. It's been a while.
Don't
I'm
say
19
Steve
at the
Bruce.
He's 19 now.
Don't say
Okay.
Steve Bruce.
My
What's your
highlight
highlight?
was when Steve Bruce was appointed Newcastle manager. It was the
Ah,
greatest
jeez.
moment of my life.
That's worse than Jeff Hendrick. That's the worst of the Jeff Hendrick
No,
thing.
the best. The best moment of my life was thankfully in September. I have these two family friends from Lake Garda, from a restaurant that we always visit when we go on holidays, and they support AC Milan. They're both season ticket holders.
Wow.
And we were always joking throughout the summer that if Newcastle got AC Milan, it'd be great to go to it, wouldn't it? Now, of course, like jokingly, not serious, like whatever what happens. And then the draw was done. Obviously, we got AC Milan. 2 quick phone calls later, and I managed to get 4 home tickets for the AC Milan away game.
Wow.
And to be at a Newcastle away game, not only an away game but a Champions League away game, was a different experience, and thankfully I got to experience that with my godfather Alan, unfortunately. And
Which I will hand on heart, as a 30-year-old Newcastle fan, the Champions League music came on and I had tears rolling down my face.
it was a different experience altogether, it was
genuinely
savage.
the most amazing moment of my
it was
life.
class.
I have beef with this. Lads, I'm going to look at the camera for this one. I'm 37. I know there's lads in the room a bit older than 37 as well. The first time I heard the Champions League music in St James's Park was the last group game against AC Milan. And obviously we didn't win. That was the game we were talking about.
Yeah.
An 18-year-old here has already been home and away in the Champions
Yeah.
Can we just have one other thing about that Milan trip? Will you tell the podcast what you ate when we were brought to a restaurant in Milan by your lovely friend.
Oh,
To be
dear.
fair, I love the lads from Milan. They brought us out for dinner. I will never speak to them ever again. What did you eat?
Yeah, so we were brought out to this place which we thought was a steakhouse, which it kind of was, if that's what you want to call it. But we got brought into this location.
It was a farm. It was a farm.
Yeah, it was out in the middle of nowhere. It was I don't know what it was, but yeah, as soon as the steaks came down the table, we were like, okay, great, that's what we seem to be having. But then followed by raw horse and carpaccio, I think, if my memory serves me right.
Raw horse.
Raw horse. And this man ate the raw horse.
Was it nice?
That's why I don't like
I
him.
didn't enjoy it.
Hey, Shambos, everybody. Shambos, everybody.
Yeah, but
Just a really like.
When in Rome, or Milan, when in Rome.
Yeah, I was just like, if there's any, pro animal safety people listening, we don't necessarily condone.
We
this,
love horses in
Other
Ireland.
animals are available, etc.
Other animals are available.
yeah, I suppose with the contents of alcohol that we were all drinking, I don't think I remembered I was drinking or eating horse, to be fair. But
Drinking horse. That's how bad he
I
was.
think I was drinking horse at some stage. I think
Also
so,
drinking
yeah.
horse.
Yeah, I
There's
think
a
I was
famous
drinking
there's a
horse.
famous Irish movie with the phrase "Who's taking the horse to France?" But if someone took the horse to Italy, apparently. That's going to get a big round of applause for Mr.
Shambos, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sick of him.
Everyone's shaking hands. It feels so important when people shake your hand. Lads, we're approaching the end of the show. Of
Right,
this
we're
live
pushing
show,
the show, right.
Because Chris Show needs a pint and I need to go
I
to the
do. I
toilet.
need a wee as well.
I think the three of us do. We shouldn't start drinking
Yeah,
at 4 o'clock.
Look at what he's drinking. What is that? That's what Guinness looks
Yeah,
like
what's
in
this
Ireland.
orange? Alan's drinking this orange stuff. I'm not convinced by it at all.
It's Monster. We all know what I'm fueled by.
it's
I
always
am
Monster.
fueled by Monster.
Monster. That's our sponsorship for the podcast.
Yeah.
Monster Energy. It's great. Look at Al.
It always is.
Unleash the beast.
Lads, the last thing I wanted to shout out, because it's very, very fresh, like happenings in the Newcastle community, was did anyone see the Anthony Gordon overlap interview with Gary
Fantastic.
Neville?
Absolutely
sounded-
outstanding.
Like,
He wasn't like a kind of a dumb scouser that you would imagine. Kind of like, I don't read books. I kind of like, I get the bus every day. I'm practically stupid.
yeah,
He came across like a really intelligent, philosophical young man that really thinks about everything to do with his life.
Yeah.
He's not just a footballer, but like to have a singular goal to be one of the greatest footballers in the world, and he's kind of getting there. I mean, to get, like, what did he get, player of the year or player of the tournament?
Player
Or
of
Euro-
the 21
under
euros.
21 euros, yeah.
This guy is
Seriously
going
impressive.
places. We need to keep a hold of him.
I mean,
Big time.
didn't even know it was being recorded. I think it just came out. I don't think we really expected it. But the one thing you'd say about Anthony Gordon, and I'll look at the audience here. Correct me if I'm wrong, lads. There was once a photo when he was at Everton with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and it was like they'd got dressed in the dark in a very strange clothes shop or something.
Yeah.
And like that when he was signing for us, I was kind of like, I'm not sure what kind of guy this is. You watch that interview for 45 minutes. He's thinking about every inch of the game. He's thinking about what he's going to do, his game plan. 3 days in advance, he's talking about his food. It's insane.
It's the Eddie Howe effect on
It is
players.
the Eddie Howe
he
effect,
has
yeah.
instilled into him a work rate, a mindset. Look back, like, I'll hold my hands up. I wanted him. I did think he was going to be outstanding. I didn't think he was going to be this good, this quick. I just think the day he threw a strop and he didn't shake Howe's hand to what he is now, that is chalk and cheese. It's absolutely amazing.
The player who scores the goal that wins us a trophy, no matter what the trophy is, I'm saying it now live in the podcast, it'll be Anthony Gordon.
Can we just get a number? How many predictions has he made already tonight, Chris Show? Like 5, 6,
13.
7, 10?
Too many. Oh, come on. What?
Some man for the predictions. But it's fine, Chris Show. We know they never get right. It's fine.
I'm telling you now, Jeff Hendrick is going to play defensive midfield next season.
Okie dokie.
Moving on.
Now, lads, I'm looking down at mine. I made a few random notes here just for all transparency. But I just need a raise a hand in the audience. Somebody wrote at the end of all my notes, Paul's striptease. And that's very concerning if anybody in this room actually wants to see that. Oh, it was both. Okay, that's...
Sorry.
No,
to write
just
something.
for the record, for those of you watching on YouTube, nobody in the audience raised their hand, so just these lads want to see it. So on that big giant bombshell of a disaster, I think that's a great time to bring episode 21 of our first ever live in-person Irish MAGS show to a close. A massive shout out to obviously Graham for jumping on and joining us, to Tev for jumping on and joining us. I suppose we can thank Sean for jumping on and joining us.
Thanks, Sean.
Sean. Come on, Sean. A big round of applause for all our guests that have joined us.
Thanks, everybody.
We are 18 minutes from kickoff against Crystal Palace. We have points to get. Hopefully another 3 points in the bag, lads, on that quest for Europe. So all I can say really is thanks to everyone, obviously, who's in the audience this evening. Thank you to Chris Show, to Alan and our guests, and to Johnny in the Bleecker Street Bar for hosting us.
Everybody.
Big shout out to the Bleecker and for Johnny, lads, if you don't mind. Big round of applause.
Slán, lads. Slán, everybody.
As usual, we'll be back for more Irish Magnus next week. So until then, we're going to say Slán go fóill. Away the lads.
Slán
and
a
see you
guys.
all next week.
Tune.
Tune.